Hey, welcome to OK Miniatures. Today we're making some dragon horn rocks, or at least trying to. So I wanted to make some fantasy looking scatter terrain pieces, and horns for rocks was the easiest thing to start with. I had these grand ideas of like a dragon mouth cave and some sort of like claw for a tree, but you gotta start somewhere. So rocks was the way to go. I sculpted some pieces from using Sculpey. I got 3 different sizes for the horns just to kind of give some variation and options. Some of the bigger pieces minis could use it as cover. Some of the smaller pieces were more of just an aesthetic sort of thing. I covered these with silicone, just silicone from the hardware store. Would not recommend, but we'll get into that. So I waited for it to dry, and I waited, and I waited. And after a week, I pulled some of them out of the silicone, figuring the coat was too thick, so I scraped a bunch off and just gave it like a thin coat around. And I waited some more. And after like another 3 weeks, I think it was, maybe longer, the silicone still felt squishy through. Like the outside was cured, but the inside felt very not cured. But I cut it open, pulled it out, and tried it anyway. And 2 of them were still uncured. One of them was in the cup with a thick layer, so I expected that to be uncured. The other one was just had a coat around it, and I could feel it being squishy and whatnot, so I cut it open hoping it'd be okay. But it wasn't. That is what it is. The third one actually cured. I think it was half cured before I started because working with it was a nightmare, and it didn't like come out of the tube right. I think it was sitting in the garage for a very long time. Anyway, so that one actually cured. The other ones are just garbage, scraped off the silicone off of the parts. Hopefully I can use those again later when I get this casting stuff figured out. We'll see. So using my one working mold, I casted some parts. It held together for a few casts, but the third one had some of the plaster like ooze out the side. So I decided to call that enough for now. I think I could have done more with that mold with using rubber bands to hold it together so that the cut wouldn't open up. But for a proof of concept, I'm okay with how this went. I think in the future I'm gonna have to like actually buy a nicer silicone that will cure properly in thicker layers instead of just a cheap tube from hardware store. But I am curious if I can make the hardware store silicone work for like thin stuff, like if I wanted to cast doors or something like that, something flat and skinny. So I think I'll have to give that a go in the future. I just gave these little rocks a quick paint job and they were good to go. So I hope you liked this video and found it helpful. Please consider subscribing if you'd like to see more content like this. With that, I'll see you in the future.